During my trip to Korea, we got to see some deer and do some plein air drawings of them. It was pretty cool, and I wanted to use them somehow in my graphic novel. I am a big fan of Princess Mononoke, the Ghibli film, and anyone else who's seen that movie knows that deer play a pretty integral part of the protagonist's journey and the movie's overall plot. When I got back to the States, I decided to create a mount, an animal companion for one of my characters, Jin, John's mentor and teacher. I dug around to try to figure out what kind of deer I saw in Seoul Forest Park that day. And it turns out most native deer in South Korea have faced extinction, and the deer that I saw were imported from other places. So historically, the Korean peninsula was home to 5 deer species: the Manchurian wapiti, the Manchurian sika deer, the Siberian roe deer, Chinese water deer, and Siberian musk deer. The only remaining deer native to South Korea is the water deer. And sadly, the Manchurian wapiti and the sika deer are, I don't know if I'm saying those names right, and the sika deer are virtually extinct in the wild in South Korea today. While occasional sightings of wild sika deer do occur, these are mostly feral deer that have escaped from farms or were artificially released, either purposefully or accidentally. What my group saw that day was most likely foreign sika deer that were brought over from abroad a while ago. Now, here is the most intriguing part. In my research, it seems like deer, in general, pose a huge problem to South Korean islanders, the Anma Island in particular. I'm going to read this excerpt directly from a Reuters article. I'm sorry to say this, but we need to get rid of them, which is our intention, even if that means we have to kill them, says Jang Jin-young, 43, one of the leaders of the village, which number about 150. Since the rules ban such efforts, he says the government is weighing a petition from the villagers to designate deer as harmful wildlife rather than livestock, to clear the way for the herd to be thinned by either hunting or other measures. So this is really fascinating stuff. In the mid-1980s, farmers introduced sika deer to the Anma Islands for antler harvesting. It was used in traditional medicine. However, as the market of antlers dwindled, the deers were abandoned, and this led to unchecked population explosion and challenges with tick infestation and overall crop damage. I've always viewed deer as peaceful, gentle creatures, at least that's how Disney has portrayed it to me, and that they get along with everyone. But the reality for these villages is clearly the opposite. I'm a big fan of subverting common expectations, and I would love for the deer to be chaotic neutral in my story, and perhaps even be the main mounts for antagonists that I create. Anyways, after I finished my research, I decided to sketch out sika deer in my notebook, but make it more burly and strong looking. The deer I drew on my trip were small in comparison. I needed something strong so they could be ridden. I needed them to have a thick coat because I plan on making them common mounts for those living in the north. Snow and wind will make it hard for northerners to have more common forms of transportation, such as bicycles. Now, this idea stems from the Dukha, or the Dukha, I'm not sure, a community of Mongolian people, the only group of people in real life that I found who actually ride deer. Oh, reindeer, at least. The Dukha people are the last tribe to ride reindeer in the world. There are only a few hundred people left in the community, and while it's estimated that there are less than 50 families who live this way, there's no official count. So look them up if you're interested, it's fascinating stuff. After I finished my sketch, I took a picture and threw it up on Clip Studio. I already had sketches of John and Jin, 2 of my favorite characters in the story. I wanted to add the deer into the background. The harness and saddle I drew for the deer was simply based on a combination of horse saddle and a wagon harness that I saw. Since the illustration will mostly serve as concept art to set the tone and vibe for my graphic novel, webtoon, I didn't dive too deep into the gear and harness system. I will probably tweak it when I have to incorporate it into the story, but for now, this will suffice. I'm gonna time lapse me lining the art. If you have questions on how to line art or how specifically I do it, let me know in the comments. I'll dive into it in the next video if you're interested while I do my coloring. Okay, I think that's it. All right, thank you. See you.